Mysteries of the Sacred Universe. Presentations by the Sadaputa Book Club. Introduction. Hello there. The Sadaputa Book Club was formed in order to study the extensive work of the late Richard L. Thompson, also known as Sadaputa Das, who was a founding member of the Bhaktivedanta Institute. He extensively investigated ancient Indian astronomy, cosmology, and spirituality, developing multimedia presentations on these topics. And his main books include Mechanistic and Non-Mechanistic Science, an investigation into the nature and consciousness of form, Vedic Cosmography and Astronomy, Parallels, Alien Identities, Ancient Insights into Modern UFO Phenomena. This video is an edited version of Prishni Sutton's introduction to the lecture series on Mysteries of the Sacred Universe, the Cosmology of the Bhagavata Purana. You can access all the full presentations on the website richardthompson.com/events. Recorded in 2024 on Zoom. So let's listen to some of the things Prishni had to say as an introduction to the series.
The book was originally published by Govardhan Hill Publishing, GHP, in 2000. And before we actually start on the content, I wanted to bring up a couple of these, I think, my two favorite of the book reviews. First one is by Professor Gene Thursby from the University of Florida. But I'm going to read through this very quickly. It's just a small bit of what he said, but I think it's really powerful. A revolution in our understanding of the cosmology of the Puranas is in the making here. This book offers a way of reading ancient Indian texts that is profoundly interesting, that overturns a long history of scholarly undervaluation of the supposedly, quote, only mythological contents of the Puranic literature. That's a very powerful statement. Next one is Professor Subhash Kak, Louisiana State University. His PhD is in computer science, but he's been a long-standing fan of Vedic literature and writes a lot on the site. This is his comment. Mysteries of the Sacred Universe is a very original book, and it represents an important advance in the understanding of the cosmology described in the famed Bhagavata Purana of India. Thompson looks at this cosmology from several points of view, and he presents a compelling case showing that this cosmology was intended to have multiple meanings that span the terrestrial, the astronomical, and the spiritual planes. So, introduction to the Bhagavata cosmology. And Sadaputa begins with this really, I think, important sentence. The way people view the universe has a profound impact on their understanding of themselves. For centuries, the Bhagavata Purana has provided a meaningful framework connecting the world of observable phenomena with the transcendental world of ultimate reality. That's a mind blower. So I got these two images. This is it's a video that Sadaputa did. And this is Bhumandala. You'll recognize here we have Meru in the center here, little Jambudweep. This is, you'll see Saptadweep. These are the rings. Here on the edge is Loka Mountain, and we see Saturn. And if you look at it, we have the different planets. There's Jupiter. We have Saturn out here, and they're kind of circling around. And then here's an image of the solar system. But the similarities are quite extraordinary. So we have the observable world, and he's connecting it into the transcendental world of ultimate reality, and it's done a lot through imaging. So the main thing we're going to talk about in this book is Bhumandala, which Sadaputa translates Earth Mandala, because Bhu means earth. The Bhagavatam describes reality using its own uniquely pre-modern paradigm. So what he is going to do is he goes through this, and he's telling us in the introduction, he's going to help us to understand this uniquely pre-modern paradigm that the Bhagavatam, the other Puranas, are using. Modern cosmology, the way it's done nowadays, they develop an abstract model with a one-to-one correspondence between elements of the model and elements of the universe. And you can tell by the way this sounds, that's a very Western kind of thought, that, anything that is in reality, we can map. We have access to it. Our senses take in everything that we need to know. And if not, we'll build an instrument that will expand our senses and we'll get it that way. Vedic cosmology takes a different approach. And he describes it like this. In the Vedas, they use concrete themes. So you'll see words like mountains, oceans, islands, trees, concrete themes and images used in multiple ways to represent different aspects of the universe. And here's a picture, just a painting. This technique is actually used in paintings. And here's a classic one from Bhagavatam, where we have Krishna in the same painting 6 times, engaging in different activities with the different gopis that he's with. He sums it up by saying this: since the universe therefore cannot be encompassed by a single mental model, the Bhagavatam freely uses model elements in different convenient ways to represent different aspects of the universe. And now he goes into his 4 model thing. This is what I think Sadaputa is really quite famous for. Although it may look like a naive flat Earth model, careful study shows that the Bhagavatam uses the Earth disk of Bhumandala to represent at least 4 different things. One of Sadaputa's favorite quotes, it's certainly one of mine, and he says, the great Bengali saint Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and this is from the Chaitanya Charitamrita, in each and every verse of Srimad Bhagavatam, and in each and every syllable, there are various meanings. At the very end of the introduction, he brings up these 2 really important questions. So, for question number 1, are modern astronomical themes that are seen in an old text really there, or simply read into the text? And this reminds me of a comment actually that Charles Darwin makes in Origins. He says, if you're going in and you're doing research, but you have a theory in mind, you tend, when you're collecting your data, just to collect those things that support your theory, and somehow those other things that don't are just kind of left beside. So that's something you have to really keep your eye out for. Are we doing that in our analysis? And the second question is, I find particularly interesting. So we find correlations. Are these correlations the results of conscious scientific endeavor in ancient times? How did they come up with this stuff? Did they have something that would be able to collect data and therefore give us information about the distances of these planets? Or are they due to intuitive harmonies between nature and the Bhagavatam, depending on divine inspiration? But I had to bring up this book written by Carl Jung in 1957 called Flying Saucers. This is when there was a whole bunch of reports, and they're kind of new now. It's 57. We're getting a lot of reports of UFOs, and he's dealing with it as a psychiatrist. He knew people who had actual contact, so he's taking it quite seriously. And he says this about it: these data do not take the form of a directed judgment, but follow an instinctive, archaic pattern, which, because of its mythological character, is not recognized by the reasoning mind.
Fascinating. Prishni then went on to summarize the aforementioned models identified by Sadaputa Das, namely, the mountainous regions of Central Asia, a planisphere of the Earth, the solar system, and celestial realms of the demigods. Finally, she introduced the speaker to Chapter 1 of the series of Mysteries of the Sacred Universe, called Islands and Oceans of Bhumandala. That video will follow in due course. Thanks for watching and share with others.